Welcome to AADAP's Prevention 365 podcast. Prevention is every day and in every way. I'm so happy and fortunate to welcome my first guest, Nolan Shaheed. Nolan Shaheed, thank you so much for being here with us. Please, I'd like to give the floor to you. First hand off, and we're just so excited to have you. Please tell us again your name and who you are and what your talents are about.
Okay, I am glad to be here. I'm very excited about being here. Thanks for asking me. My name is Nolan Shaheed. I am basically and foremost a musician. I am a trumpet player, a professional trumpet player. I identify with being a studio musician, but my love is in playing jazz trumpet. But being a studio musician, I play it all. And I'm also a world-class masters track and field athlete with
Wow.
several world records under my belt. And I've been very fortunate enough to be able to excel in the two fields that I really love, music and track and field.
Incredible, incredible, Nolan. Tell us more about who you've performed with. I also have some really awesome inside information that I got from my husband, Frederick Keith Fidmont, that he shared with me. But tell us who you have performed with. This is really something.
Well, I have been very, very fortunate in my career to have performed with some of the people that I always dreamt about and that I idolized. People like uh, Count Basie. I performed with Count Basie and was on the road with him for a while, for a long time. I also did Duke Ellington. I played with Lionel Hampton. I played with Eddie Harris, great jazz musicians, and other great jazz musicians. And on the pop side, my first gig was with Aretha Franklin. I also toured
Wow.
with Marvin Gaye as his musical director. I toured with Stevie Wonder. I toured with Natalie Cole. I
Amazing.
toured with Diana Ross, Phil Collins, and several others. I've been very fortunate to have been in a position where basically all my dreams have come true.
So amazing, Nolan. Wow. Now hearing the list from you, Keith told me a few. Of course, he told me that you, I guess you were one of the first with Stevie Wonder. Is that right?
Well, I played with Stevie Wonder in the 80s, the early 80s.
Early 80s.
But by that time, he was already famous. He had several records already out. I
Sure.
and to this day, I don't like going out on the road because it's not as fun as it used to be. However, if
Yeah.
Stevie called me, I would drop everything and only
Everything.
go with Stevie. He's the only one that I think could get me off of my comfortable chair and go play again.
Right. You know what songs, by the way, side note, Nolan, I love Rocket Love
Ah,
and
nice.
As. Oh, that
Oh,
takes me somewhere. I transcend.
well, you know something? I love the fact that you love as because the word as was only mentioned once in the song. Everybody thinks that the name of the song is always.
Right.
Yeah, what a great song and what a great
Beautiful.
arrangement that Stevie did.
Yeah, no, that one for some reason, like my sister-in-law's song, You Are Loved, always makes me weep. It just hits the
Yeah,
core. Right. I can't control it. Wow,
that's
that's so
good.
beautiful. That's so beautiful, Nolan. Yeah, and when we were walking, Keith told me you were the first one, I have to plug this in, that gave my husband his job, and that means his first meal to eat in this city. Nolan, I can't tell you, I just love you. What else can I say?
Well, for those who don't know who Keith Fitmont is, Keith Fitmont is one of the best musicians in this country. He's a
Yeah,
saxophone player, he's a reed player, but
yes,
specializes in the tenor sax. He's a great musician. And when I first heard him, I was blown away because although LA has produced a lot of great, great saxophone players, when Keith
absolutely.
came in, everyone stopped and said, "Who is this guy?" He came in from the East Coast. So he was already incredible, just coming from where he came from. So I'm
Absolutely.
just glad to be able to say he's my friend and I know him. I'm happy to be a friend of Keith Fitmont's.
Well, I'm happy to be his friend too, and he's the one actually who told me if you need an athlete, you got to call Nolan. Rahima, what are you thinking? Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Well, before that's so cool, Nolan. Before we go forward, I just want to, give a little bit about your background. I love your studio, and then I want to share a little bit about my background that I have here for our listeners and viewers. Nolan, tell us about these beautiful paintings in your studio. I love it.
Well, if my camera was more movable, I would show. I've got a wonderful picture of Marvin Gaye that I think you can see in the background.
Yes,
Marvin Gaye
beautiful.
was responsible. And those who know me and who know me well know that I have never ever taken any drugs or any type of enhancement in my life. And I owe that all to Marvin Gaye. Maybe we can get into that later. But I
I
owe that
love
to
that.
Marvin Gaye because I was right in the height of being in a situation where everybody was doing everything. And Marvin loved me and he gave me uh, something that maybe we can talk about later that kept me from doing things that I would have regretted. And so I have a big photograph, not a big portrait, a painting of Marvin Gaye. Next to Marvin Gaye is my favorite musician, uh, Dizzy Gillespie. You can't see that too well, but Dizzy Gillespie is up there. And I've got a nice, wonderful painting of Sarah Vaughan. Sarah Vaughan was supposed to have come over and signed it, but you know how you keep procrastinating and it's like, oh, I'll be over there. I go, okay, you can come over sometime. And then I know she had passed away, and it's like, oh no, she
Oh,
never got a chance to come over and see
oh.
her portrait and autograph it. But and
Mm.
I've got others, but those are the three that I really enjoy having in my studio.
Beautiful, yes. And on that note, may Sarah Vaughan rest in eternal peace. That's just such a special piece you have there, Nolan. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I love different, musician studios. I've been to several, because of Keith and my sister-in-law. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful to see like where, it's almost like it's like the core. It's like, it's like the lifeline
Yeah,
for musician. It's so powerful to be in. It's sacred to me when I go inside.
yes, beautiful, beautiful.
Very much. My background here definitely nothing like yours, but my boss and I, Paulina Hong, my wonderful boss, we were trying to find a nice backdrop, um, Nolan, for you, and it's my boss actually that chose this Pasadena area. So tell us a little bit. You mentioned to me something. I'd love for our listeners and readers, especially Paulina, to hear about this.
That is a great bridge, and under the bridge is a jogging path where I jog all of the time. I'll probably be there today. And when
See?
I first saw the portrait, I thought you were psychic because I said she's going to come on the air with a, a, a photograph of where I jog all of the time. It's in Pasadena, south of the Rose Bowl and south of Brookside Park. It's a beautiful area to run, and I run there all the time. It's very serene, and you can tell how beautiful it is. And that's
Gorgeous.
a great bridge. It's right next to Suicide Bridge. That's a different
Wow.
story. That's a different story.
I don't think we'll go there, but yes,
Oh,
that's all kudos to Paulina. She picked this
yeah,
beautiful area, and so glad to have it as my backdrop. So good, we're kind of matching in that way, and I love that. Nolan, let's proceed
yeah.
with some of the questions, and really excited. So I want to start with first. Tell us about yourself. I'd like to for you to share more about your musicianship and of course your athletic talents and when you discovered your gifts. Please
Okay.
share with us.
Cool. First of all, I was born in Pasadena, California, in 1949, which makes me almost 72 years old, or young, however you want to look at it. I grew up here. I went to Pasadena Christian School. Uh, then I went to Jamia High School, where I learned how to play the no, actually, I went to Washington Junior High School. And while I was at Washington Junior High School, I heard a trumpet on the radio. I think it was Louis Armstrong. I asked my parents, I said, can I play the
Oh,
trumpet? Because I want to play like that guy. And so my
yeah.
parents, they didn't even hesitate. They just said yes. So they went down to a place called Berry and Grosnick's, which was the music studio. They bought me a Con Director for $127. It was a great trumpet, beginning trumpet. And I started playing that
Yeah.
trumpet, and I played, and I got really, really into the trumpet. And I knew after about 6 months that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And I was the last chair in the trumpet section because I started half semester. But by the end of the first semester, I was second chair. And the next year, I started taking lessons from a guy named Bob Riffhauer, who is one of the greatest men in my life outside of my father. He's a great man who's had a lot of influence on me. He taught me not only the trumpet, but other things in life. And from him, I started getting better and better and better until the trumpet was pretty much all that mattered to me. When I got into high school, I went to John Muir High School, and I started playing the trumpet in the band. I loved that. That was my love, playing in that band and in the Boys Club band. The Pasadena Boys Club band was one of the best Boys Club bands in the country. And in fact, one of the best bands, period, in the country for boys. It was great. So I had a lot of musical stuff. My first year in high school, I decided to run track because I always was fast. We would always run sprints. When I went to elementary school, I was the second fastest kid in the school. The first fastest kid was a guy named Ricky. I can't think of his last name. But I was the second fastest. But I was also the only black kid in the whole, from the first grade to sixth grade, I was the only black kid in my class. When I got to junior high school, it seemed like it was predominantly black, although I don't think it was, but it seemed like it was because I was so thirsty to be around my own people. And around a lot of people who had the same things that I had that excited them. And one was track and field. So I wasn't the fastest in this school, but I was amongst the fastest. But I used to always beat everybody around the block. You know, if they beat me 50 yards, 100 yards, I'd be like, okay, let's race around the block. I said, yeah. So my first year in high school, I was playing trumpet in the band and in the Boy Scout band, and I loved it. But I was also on the track team. And because of my grades not being as good as they should have been, my father took me out of track. And the next year, my trumpet playing wasn't that strong, and I didn't know why. So I told my trumpet teacher, last year I was playing better. I was stronger. I was hitting high notes, and I don't know what's going on. He said, last year you were running track. And that's probably what it was. If you were to run, maybe you would play better on your trumpet. So I started running on my own. And when I started running on my own, sure enough, my trumpet playing got better and better. And then I thought, wow, this is great because the trumpet was the only thing I was interested in. But the faster I ran, the better my trumpet got. And it became to be where I was running basically to make my trumpet better. But I was beating all the guys who used to beat me because I was really running hard and running very fast. So when I got into college, I found out that I was I was a good runner, and I was doing really good in the running, and I was a good trumpet player. So I was very blessed in those two realms.
That's incredible. You know, I can't help but remember, Nolan, when I was in high school, you know, I went to uni, but it was in the sense, not at your level, but I was running cross country on the uni.
Great.
Yeah, cross country track team. Now, granted, I wasn't at the very front of them all, right? But that kind of structure, and you know that we were, you know, a lot of the women, young women, we would get together and we would just be in synchronicity. It really I have to say, it empowered me. Strangely enough, I was quite shy when I first started, like in 10th grade. But with that running, Nolan, it did something. So I can really relate. I can really relate to it.
Hey, beautiful.
Very nice. Very nice. That is so interesting. So, but I'm curious, though, Nolan, thinking about this, though, like your love for the music, you know, really started to bloom in high school. But how did that like first, that first gig start? What was that process?
Well, uh, that's an interesting question. My trumpet teacher always had me geared up to be the best I could. When I was in high school, my trumpet
Mm,
teacher said, "What do you want to do in music?" Because back then it was only classical music. You know, they
yeah,
would not allow jazz to be played in the
yeah,
Pasadena music
I'm familiar with it.
system in high school. There's a guy named
Yeah,
Dr. Green who outlawed it. So I didn't know anything about jazz really. All I knew was classical music, and I was going to be a classical musician because I was very, very good at it. The only problem
right.
is I would go out to see the LA Phil, I would see the Met, and I would see all these great orchestras, and I would not see one black person there. So that was very discouraging. And then it became to be a realization that no matter how good I became on the trumpet, I wasn't going to be able to work. And when a boy realizes that, it's devastating because that's the thing that meant more to me than anything else. And so I realized that I wasn't going to get an opportunity. But I had a white friend named Ty Newcomb, and Ty Newcomb was really into jazz. And he said, "Hey, man, you know anything about jazz?" And I said, "No." He said, "Man, you got to check out jazz, man. You got to check out Clifford Brown." And so I checked out Clifford Brown and Dizzy Gillespie, and I was like, wow,
Blown
this
away.
is crazy. This is what I wanted to do. So my
Mm,
trumpet teacher asked me, what do you want to do? So I told him, I want to be a musician, but what is the highest paid musician? He said,
exactly.
that studio musicians make all of the money. Studio musicians make more money than anybody. So I said, I want to
Yeah.
be a studio musician. So he trained me to be able to play everything, to be able to read great, so that you can read anything and never have to be ashamed that you can't execute something because of lack of being able to have skills in reading. He taught me how to play the high notes, so I could play the lead trumpet if I wanted to. He taught me how to play all the other parts, how to chrome my craft, hone my craft so that I can play anything that I wanted to play, whether it be classical, whether it be cartoon music, which is the most difficult music there is in the world, or jazz, big band combo. He taught me everything. So the first the first gig I got was actually with Aretha Franklin. And
Hmm.
H.B.
Tremendous,
Barnum, yeah,
Nolan.
H.B. Barnum was conducting, and I was a young kid. It was my first uh, really professional gig, and I got there early. And I remember walking in, there was no one else in the room. So I went right to the lead trumpet chair and I opened it up and I started looking at the parts. And I said, this is nothing. I can play all this. And then when the guys started coming in, there was a guy, and I'm not giving any names, but he was like the lead cat in town. And he was kind of
Yeah.
pissed off that I was sitting in his chair. And I was supposed to know who he was, but I was very young and I didn't know. So I was just sitting there and they started the music and I'm playing those parts. And I remember
Right.
HB stopped the orchestra and he said, "Who's playing lead trumpet?" And the other guy said, "He's doing it. He's playing it." And HB said, "You're doing a fantastic job. That's very good." And
No surprise.
so that made me feel really good, and I had the confidence. The other guy didn't, he never spoke to me again. Anyway, to make a long story short, that was my introduction to being in a professional capacity. And from then, Ernie Fields was a great contractor, was there. George Mahanan, great contractor, was there. And they
Yeah.
started contracting recording sessions for me. So I became a studio musician as a result of that gig. And I never stopped. My first really big jazz gig was with actually with Count Basie. I was still young, but I played a lead in the Count Basie Orchestra, and that was a great, great experience. A great experience for me.
Wonderful. That is so wonderful. Gosh, Nolan. Yeah, that I love what you also said, just being there early. Since I've, known Keith, he's always told me just get there early, no matter
Yeah,
what it is. It makes such a big impression My
Yes.
CEO also had to teach me that too. But I think over these years, I've really, come to really respect that and embrace that. And also, it's respecting others, isn't it, Nolan?
Yes. Yes.
It really is. It's very serious element there. That is so incredible what you've shared, Nolan. How you got your first gig, and gosh, um, these are icons in the industry, and it's so amazing, absolutely amazing. With success, many times there are also struggles. I'm curious. I'd like to know what some of the struggles that you may have had and encountered on your journey. Is there anything you can share with us about that?
Well, something that's a very good question. I'm really glad you asked.
Thank
From my perspective, all my life, everything has been a struggle. I'm not the most eloquent guy in the world. I always lisped and stuttered, and people had to always say, "Huh." I had to struggle just to uh, make myself understood all my life. I was also very thin. I was very shy coming up. It was always a struggle for me. I went to an all-white school. The kids were great, but the staff was horrible to me. And they tried to make me think I was stupid. They tried to make me think that I was dumb. And this was in the 50s, remember? And
you. Yeah.
and being taught from a Southern parentage that I should respect my elders, I tried to respect these people, but they were teaching me that I was very stupid. So everything has been a struggle. Playing the trumpet, even when I was in high school, I used to practice 8 hours a day because it was a struggle to be the best. And when I started running, I wanted to be the best. And that's a struggle. And from my perspective, life in itself, everything that is worth gaining, everything that is worth uh, comprehending or worth mastering is a
Yeah.
struggle. So I don't see anything as being a particular struggle because if you want something, you will struggle to get it. If you want to be strong and have big muscles, you will
Right.
pick something up and you will put it down, you will pick it up, you will put it down. If you keep doing that struggle, you have big muscles. If you want to be smart and intelligent, you have to pick up a book, you have to read it, put it down, pick up another one, you have to read it. And if you do this enough times, you will be uh, intelligent. If you want to be a good trumpet player, man, you got to practice everything, the tonguing, the flexibility, the reading, everything. It's a struggle. If you want to run, you got to do, I run 10 miles a day and I'm 72 years old. But you got to do it if you want to be the best. You got to do mileage, you got to do
Yeah.
speed work, you got to do weight training, you got to stretch. It's a struggle. That's why I find it very disheartening when I hear someone who's on a certain job or certain jobs and they say something like, oh, this is a struggle. Well, it's supposed to be a struggle if that's what you want to do. Like, for instance, if a person said, I had to shoot this guy because I was fearful of my life. Uh, that to me is like you shouldn't be on that job because it's a struggle to be into law enforcement. It's a struggle.
Right.
And you have
It
to
is.
go into that knowing that your life is going to be in danger and that something's going to happen. Of course, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you get shot, but you have to struggle to be able to see every side. You have to be able to see this person's life is important. I can't just end this person's life unless I get all of the facts. If you're a soldier, as I have been in the United States Army, or if you're in law enforcement, you can't say
Thank
I
you
was
for your
fear,
service, Nolan.
you can't say I was fearful of my life because that is part of the job. So life
That's right.
in itself is a struggle, and I embrace that struggle. And to me, it's not an extra struggle; it's what I'm supposed to do to be successful.
100%, Nolan. That just fueled me with so much energy. I didn't know whether to scream or hit the desk or cry. I was just all in it. Nolan, that is so true. My goodness. we could really go deep into this, but we're gonna keep it moving because it's
Okay.
so interesting. I'm, with you sharing all of this, it really leads into my next question, and I want to ask you, piggybacking from what you just said, um, many of our clients, Nolan, as you know, we've shared before the podcast today, I explained to you how ADAP, we have clients and they come to us to change their lifestyle, change their behaviors, many times to really become healthy, reconnect with their family, reconnect with themselves, reconnect with the outside world to be self sufficient and not just sober, but in recovery and
Yes.
long term as well. I want to know, what can you share, Nolan, with our clients about, for our clients who do come to ADAP to change their life?
I think the most important thing is you have to know who you are and how you got into the situation that you're in. But first of all, you got to know who you are. Now, I was very fortunate because I learned uh, who I was. I am a person who has a very addictive personality. I'm very
Mm,
addictive. Uh,
right.
Anyone who practices this trumpet 8 hours a day, and I'm being serious about this, and anyone
Yes.
who runs 10 miles a day, and I don't eat every day. I eat 3 meals a week, you know, and they're regular sized meals. So I found out at an early age, well, early for me in my 20s, that I have a very addictive personality. And I have no
Mm,
business doing anything that's going to um, um, put me out of my regular self. So a lot
yes.
of times there are great people who are great because they have an addictive personality. They're very great
True.
because they can sit down and do something for hours and hours that most people can't do. It's not only an
Absolutely.
addictive personality, but it's a blessing. It's something that you have that a lot of people can't do. So a lot of times, if a person has a personality like me, and they're involved in something that can be addictive in a way that's not progressive,
Yes.
then those who are the uh, uh, judgmental people of the world try to look down upon them instead of saying, well, this person has a personality and I understand where this person's coming from. And before you know it, you, with your personality, become ashamed of the personality that you have, and you're not realizing that it's a blessing that you have. You got
Yes.
something that most people wish they could do.
I do.
Only you got in a situation where it could be destructive. So first of all, you've got to know who you are and how you got into that position. And
Powerful.
then you got to make sure that those around you who are your friends understand who you are so they can help you in your journey. I remember when I was coming up in the 60s, mid 60s, there was a president of the United States whose wife was a drunk. She was an alcoholic.
Hmm.
And she started a program that was a great program that was letting people know that alcohol addiction is not something that can be criminalized. It
Right.
is something that is a medical problem that should be dealt with that way.
Sure.
And that was good. The president, after this president, came up with a program that had what they call a war on drugs. And no matter what you do, it was bad unless it was alcohol. But that was everybody who
Right.
wasn't doing alcohol. And if you were in a situation where you were poor, you were broke, you were uh, uh, um, treated poorly, sometimes maybe getting a little high is in your eyes the only way to get over that. And maybe it's a temporary thing, but people look down upon it because they don't understand. And then all of a sudden you're in a situation where everybody thinks you are the bad guy and you're not the bad guy. So, the situation, your personality, the general acknowledgement of what you do has got to be seen in your eyes as just something that happened. And you can get out of it if you take it one step at a time. And everybody who really tries, everybody can have what it takes to be better. You just have to, put yourself away from those naysayers, away from the people who don't understand, and put yourself around the people who understand and who have your best interests at heart. Then you can overcome everything. You can be great. And because you were this or that at one time doesn't mean you can't be great uh, at another time. Your life ahead of you is more important than the life behind you. I want to say one other thing. This is my Marvin Gaye story. I'm
Please,
only telling this. I'm only telling you this story. I've never told it to hardly anybody before. I'm only telling you this because I really appreciate the program that you
thank
are
you.
representing, and I really appreciate that because I have a lot of friends,
Thank you,
a lot
Nolan.
of friends who have been in the situation. As I said before, I have never been high in my life off of anything, not even weed. I was Marvin Gaye's musical director, and I was very close to Marvin, very close. I was very, very young, and every day, I want to say this to you. I don't tell the story because I don't want to make Marvin seem um, bad, and people
No,
don't understand.
right.
But Marvin Gaye was immersed in something that he could not control. He could not get himself out of. Every day he was doing something, and he knew I didn't do anything, so it was almost like a joke. Every
Mm,
day I would see Marvin Gaye every day, and he would see me. He said, as he was doing his stuff, "Hey Nolan, you want a little toot? Oh, I forgot, you don't toot." And then he would toot. And he said, "Hey Norman, want a little blow? Oh, I forgot, you don't blow." And he would do his blow. I mean, this happened every day, every day, every day.
sure,
One day
sure.
we were in his studio, and Marvin was doing the same old thing. It was like a joke. He said, "Hey Nolan, you want to toot? Oh, I forgot, you don't toot." Then his face dropped. His face dropped, and he came real close to me. I thought he was trying to kiss me. He got that close. His eyeballs were
Wow.
close to my eyes. His eyeballs were about 2 inches away from my eyes. He said, "Hey, man, don't ever start." And I looked
Wow.
in his eyes and I saw that Marvin was trapped. He was trapped in something that he knew he could never get out of. First of all, a lot of people get out because they hit rock bottom. Then they have to steal from their mother's purse. He was never going to hit rock bottom because he always had hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in every few months. He was never going to get caught holding up a liquor store or anything because he had people bringing him stuff. He had the best stuff, uncut stuff. He had friends that were all doing it, but he was trapped because he didn't want to do it, but he was trapped in it. And near the end of his life, he wanted to go and he couldn't end it himself. So he did it the best way he could. He got someone else to do it for him. So that is my story. And that's the reason I'm almost in tears. But that's the reason why I've never done anything, because this man saved my life and he respected me because he loved me, you know, and he got me to be the man that I am now and in the position that I am in now. So if you haven't done anything, don't start. If you have done something, it's not the end of the world, man. It's not the end of the world. You can beat this. You just have to be strong and you can do it.
Wow, Nolan, thank you so much. Yeah, no, it really touches my heart. I'm trying to keep my professional podcast host face together, and it's not that easy because um, alcoholism, drugs, they touch there. We talked about this. There's no discrimination,
Right.
and There's no discrimination. And there's another element, especially with, legalization of marijuana. A lot of our listeners and viewers can relate to this, maybe get a little mad, but that's what this is about. But many think that that is not a drug. And I have seen some of the closest really change. And the pain is unexplainable. And but to hear you say that, how Marvin Gaye, may he rest in eternal peace, how he loved you, Nolan, how he almost guided you through his own torment, really hits me deeply. And I'm so grateful that you shared that story with me and then with the viewers. This is going around the world. This is locked forever. So that is a very important and, again, a sacred story. Um, Quite possibly some, but very few may know about, and especially from your experience, your vantage point, very few. Like you said, this was the first time that you've shared it. Nolan, thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's so powerful, not again for only, our, I hope our broad reader, listenership and readership and viewers, but especially for our clients. I've been with AADAP for, this is going to be my 20th year, and there's a reason, many reasons that I've stayed on. And one of them, of course, is helping to give all of our clients, both young and old, um, the hope and the belief of second chances, sometimes third, sometimes fourth chances in life. That's not for anyone to judge, but we're here to help and to support each other, just like the late and beautiful and loving Marvin Gaye, Nolan did for you, and so many good thoughts for him. That we have you today here with us to share these really very important messages and lessons in this life. Nolan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um, I want to ask you also, what portions, Nolan, of your background do you think may be relatable and may be helpful for the client population we serve? Maybe we've touched upon this, but is there anything more that you could share with them? You've given such great advice here and guidance in your own life experience, opened yourself up. But is there anything that you can share, that our clients could relate to?
I have one thing that I would like to share, and it's from a musician's point of view. So in my life, being a professional musician, particularly being a professional jazz musician, but it's in all forms of music. It's in classical music, jazz. I must have met 100,000 musicians, and probably 60% of them get high regularly. Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is an interesting thing. Back in the old days of jazz,
Mhm.
heroin was considered a drug, almost exclusively heroin. So a lot of jazz musicians would do heroin, get off of heroin, and say, I'm clean. But they snort a lot of cocaine. You understand what I'm saying? They
Yes, I
snort a
do.
lot of cocaine, but they consider themselves clean because they're not on heroin. Okay.
Correct.
And it was socially acceptable then.
Yes.
And there's a
Right.
lot of people that I know now who have stopped doing cocaine, but they do a lot of weed, and it's acceptable now socially, and they consider themselves clean because they don't do the cocaine anymore, but they smoke a lot of weed.
Right.
I just want to say, you got one chance now of getting your life back together. You got to get it together, period. You got to get it together all the way, all the way. Because if you start making exceptions, you'll be like my 340-pound friend who says, well, I'm not going to eat this, but I'm going to eat a whole lot of that. And he's still 340 pounds. It just doesn't work like that. If
No.
you're going to do it, you got to do it, and you got to make it a lifestyle. You got to say, from now on, this is what I'm going to be. So when someone says, hey, man, smoke this, That's not me. I'm not going to do that. And you can't say, well, I'll do it on occasion, Christmas, wife's birthday. No, you got to change your life, and you got to be strong enough to do it. You got to just do it. And you can do it. It's within every person who's born of a woman. He's got the strength to do it. You cannot
100%.
be born if you don't have the strength. You know, you've gotten that from the Creator. You just have to utilize that and make sure that you understand that that is what you are going to be from now on, and you can do it. Like I said, I only eat 3 meals a week because I feel healthy when I eat 3 meals a week, and I'm still running and I'm still practicing.
Love it.
But it's my lifestyle. That's what I do. That's what I do. I eat my
No,
3 meals a week and I enjoy it.
Nolan, I'm seriously right behind you. Just a little plug in here. I had my follow-up visit. My doctor said everything looks great, but you're too skinny now, Rahimah. And I said, I took off my mask. I said, Doc, take a look at me. Do I look great? But I am following that of actually not eating as much, not fasting. I
Right,
can't do that.
right.
I am eating less, Nolan, and
That's
what I
good.
eat, like oats, fruit, fish, different things that are, my body needs, and I listen.
Yes, yes.
I listen.
Good, good, good. Your body will tell you.
Yes, the body will tell you, and I do check in. I make sure that I read peer review articles. I do check in with, my nutritionist. But I love that I'm right behind you. I'm not at that point, Nolan, of eating 3 meals a week. But I was raised by my grandparents, bless their hearts, and my grandmother cooked like no other individual in the world.
Where is she from?
My mother's side of the family, my grandparents are actually from Agra, India.
Ah, okay, cool.
And all my aunties and my mother, even my Keith, if he's picked up, knows how to make Pakistani keema. It's
Oh.
outside. No, when we get together and it's safe, you will not be eating 3 meals a week with me. I digress. I digress. But anyway, yes, eating less and taking care of your body, not making excuses. Lifestyle. You hit those, I guess they're keywords we use at AADAP.
Yeah.
Keywords I learned when my president, dear Mike Watanabe, President CEO, hired me 20 years ago, right after 9/11. These are all the words that he and the amazing staff at AADAP that I've learned from them, also through the clients, through the staff, through our managers, and you hit it on the head, Nolan. Thank you so much. I hope
Thank you. Thank you.
And sponge this information, this great information that you've shared here today. Soon looks like it's so sad. I could go on with you, Nolan, for hours, but I want to keep this condensed here.
Okay.
I have one other question, it looks like, from you. 2 more. Nolan, please, not even quick. Tell us what led you to utilize and even open yourself to your talents that you've shared that, in my words, they're miraculous. We have clients who have tapped into their base energy and some who haven't. And they are incredible, regardless if they're here for treatment. That is not to be judged. That's actually to be embraced. I want to know what you can share with them of how you utilize and open yourself to your talents. Nolan, please tell us.
Okay, that's a great question too. First of all, I think, and I think everything that I do is magical. I have no business doing anything. Playing the trumpet is magical. It should not exist. I don't know how I can get together with Keith Fiddmont. We don't have to say a word. We can just walk into a room and start playing music. It would be synchronized. We will know what the other person's doing. We can be blindfolded, walk into a room and start playing music, as a lot of blind people are. And we can start doing stuff. That's magic. I mean, it's not supposed to exist. H.B. Barnum told me, he said, all of us musicians are geniuses. He said, because what we do is just not normal. We know thousands of songs, and we know thousands of songs on the top of our head. We can improvise in any key. That's like speaking uh, uh, 12 different languages, and mastering them. You know, 我会说一定要普通话，我说的不好。I speak a little Mandarin Chinese, but I don't speak it well. I also speak Kiswahili, but I speak all of the realm of music, and it's magical. It's just something that we do, and I can't explain it, and I don't understand it, but I do appreciate the fact that it's not coming from me. It's coming from a higher source. I don't even know if I'm worthy or eligible to really do this, but whatever it is, I feel very appreciative that the higher source is allowing me to express myself this way. Running is the same way. It's impossible. It's impossible to go out on the road and run for a whole mile. And when you finish running the mile, it's like, well, for me now, it's like 5 minutes. That's, to me, that's incredible. It's impossible. When I was younger, it was 4 minutes and even faster. But it's magic. It's magic. So you have to be able to embrace the magic. And the only way you can embrace the magic is to embrace it with a clear head and a clear soul and a clear mind. So the magic is out there, and it's out there for you. And once you clear yourself, and once you get yourself all unpoisoned, you can see the magic. You can see the magic. Yeah. It unfolds for you. And it's beautiful. It's more beautiful than you can ever imagine. But you have to clear yourself, and then you can see that magic. And it's all magic. It's all magic.
Nolan, I love that. I love that. You're making me transcend, completely clear of any. I'm just transcending on your words, on your eloquence, on your depth, Nolan. I'm in this zone. It is so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank
for,
you. And the
for
praise
sharing.
is due to the Creator.
Absolutely, 100%. And Nolan, and I'm sure our listeners can hear this and see it, how I admire you. This is actually my first time sitting with you, talking with you, looking into your beautiful and gifted eyes, Nolan, as just almost like as you are my brother. And no wonder I've seen all your photos all over Facebook, and Donna and all my sisters and brothers just loving on Nolan. I get it now. I get it, Keith. um, so obviously, I truly look to you for direction, and I hope our listeners have the same feeling, that we can also manifest all you've shared with us today. It's almost going to be an hour, and I would like, as I think I had shared with you, we ADAP. I'll do credit to my amazing boss, Paulina Hong, and my CEO, Mike Watanabe, and the managers, Dean, and everyone who's part of this process for running the LA Marathon every year. It's been for several years, Nolan.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, not just the staff. We're trying to recruit more, hoping we can get more outside runners, within LA area, even, hey, outside San Diego, who knows, anything's possible. Anything's possible. I want to ask you, as a professional world-class athlete, holding these records, Nolan, for only person over 40, my goodness, please, please share us. It can be, I don't know if you have 10 tips, at least 3 to 5 tips for someone, any of our runners that we have, or those who are thinking about training for the marathon. Please give us some tips that would be good for us.
Okay, first of all, the first tip, the most important tip, is you have to have a goal. And the goal for running a marathon or any race is a goal that is very reachable for you and for what you do.
Yes.
So like, you won't run a marathon and say, my goal is to beat all the Kenyans in the marathon. That's not going to work. So you have to have a goal that is definitely reachable. Sometimes the goal is, I want to finish this marathon. Sometimes this goal is, I want to run this marathon without having to walk, which is a realistic goal. It means that you can run as slowly as you want to, but you just have to run, which is a very good goal. Uh, Sometimes your goal is to, if you're very competitive, is to be able to beat everyone who who's in a wheelchair or whatever, a conventional wheelchair.
Right.
Sometimes it might be other things. My first race that I ever ran on the roads was a 10K. I was just having to go down to the Rose Bowl to walk, and I saw people lining up to do a 10K. And my goal, I didn't see too many black people, so my goal was to be the first black person, and I wasn't. But my second race, I said, well, I just want to be the first black person, and I was. And then after about 4 or 5 races, I said, well, I want to be the first, I want to be all of the women in the race, because there's a lot of women, and a lot of them are like really, really fast.
Very fast. Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, very fast. Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So I decided I want to beat all of the women, So then I started beating all the women. Then it's like, I want to beat everybody in my age category. I think at that point I was in my early 30s or late 20s. I think I think it must have been my it must be my late 20s, and I wanted to beat everybody in my age category. When I did that, then I decided I want to win this thing, and that happened for a couple of years. Then it was like age category. Then it was like women. Now it's like I want to set a time for me, and I want to beat that time, and that's my goal. So the first thing is you have to have a goal. No matter what your goal is, you have to have a goal that you can set, that you can reach. Okay. Second of all, you got to be prepared for it. You got to be prepared. You should not jump into a marathon really, unless you're just doing it for fun, unless you have run a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon. It's good to be prepared and get the right equipment. Get you some good shoes. Shoes, they don't tell you this. Shoes only last 300 miles. I don't care if you're a 6-year-old boy, or I don't care if you're a 200-pound woman. Your shoes are going to last 300 miles.
Okay.
Get you some good shoes so that you don't hurt your ankles and your knees and your feet. Okay. So equipment is good. Okay. Number 3, be reasonable about what you're doing. If you are a little overweight, be careful, because you can build up muscle, but you cannot build up connective tissue. So when you were young and you say, I was great when I was young, I was doing that, but now I put on 20 or 30 pounds. Fine, your body cannot hold that 20 or 30 pounds. You have 2 things you can do. You can either slow down and build up to where your body can function under that, or you can try to lose that weight. Either way, it's good. But you can't just get out there and decide that you're going to do this or do that unless you have prepared yourself in that way. Number 3, have fun. You cannot run a marathon or a 5K or a 10K or a mile unless you really enjoy it. You will burn out, you will hate it, and then you will hate yourself, and then you will hate the way you look, then you will hate everything else about yourself, and the next thing you know, you're back in a slump.
That's right.
Keep it enjoyable, keep it enjoyable. If you don't feel like going out this day, don't go out.
Take a break.
Stay home and eat. Stay home. Yeah, eat a brownie, whatever you got to do. But the next day, then you should be cool. Go out, put the brownie down now, and go out there, put those shoes up, lace them up, and then go out there and do your run and keep it so that you're happy. And if you do those tips, you'll be successful.
Wonderful. Wow. Nolan, I took notes, okay, because I need these notes. And this is so helpful. Which shoes do you like?
I like Brooks. I like Brooks. It's the brand. Yeah. Brooks are the only shoe that I know of that is green. That is green. In other words, not the color green, but the Brooks shoes are biodegradable. None of the other shoes are biodegradable. So you'll have Nikes, and Nikes are good shoes, but you have Adidas and all those other shoes. They'll be here 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now. They'll be on the planet. Brooks will biodegrade, and I like Brooks for that.
I love
Yeah,
that.
but they are still great, great shoes. So I don't want to, like just endorse a brand, but you asked, and I think
Of
everyone
course.
should know if you're interested in the environment and you're interested in running and being safe because they're very good for your feet, knees, and ankles, then I think Brooks is good for you. If you don't care, then it's okay. You don't have to care. You know, it's okay. Wear whatever is good. One thing about shoes, running shoes, is that they don't make a bad shoe. The reason why, because it costs about $4 to make any shoe. Even the $300 shoe, it costs about $4 to make them. So whatever shoe you buy is
Mm,
going to be good, unless you have a bad problem with your feet. Then you have to have a certain shoe to get rid of that problem. But as far
right,
as brands are concerned, get what you like. But
right.
Brooks for me is the one that I do.
Wow, cool, cool. No, I'm definitely I'm due for another pair. I will probably yeah, this new endorsement. I'll probably go for a pair of Brooks, Nolan. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Nolan, you have shared I'm overwhelmed with your positivity and your energy and your inspiration. And this has been such it's beyond a delight. It's beyond beautiful. There's really I don't know no English word that I can tell you just how wonderful it's been to have you as our guest. Nolan, I'd like you to share with our listeners before we close the podcast. Tell us how they can reach you. I definitely like you've been so kind to come onto our podcast again as my first guest. Really makes me feel so happy. Tell us about how people can reach you, Nolan, where they can find you. Please, I definitely want everyone to know that
Okay,
before we leave.
thank you so much for asking that. That's very sweet of you. This is I've done interviews before, but this is by far my favorite interview because you're so sweet and you are very very into the program that you're into, and I can see in your face and your eyes that you really are serious about it. It's not just a gig, and you are a newscaster. You know, this is something that you're serious about, and I'm serious about it too. And so I really appreciate that. So an easy way to get in contact with me is through my email, which is Nolan Shaheed at hotmail.com. And that's NOLANSHAHEED at hotmail.com. And that's the best way to get me. You can write me to 1260 Forest Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91103. And I have actually a phone that you can actually call that won't infringe upon my personal stuff. But if someone needs, if something is important, if someone really needs help, then please call at my landline, which is 626-798-2979. And if you say that you're associated with the program, I would be more than happy to talk and even meet with you, and we can get stuff together. And I appreciate this opportunity. I'm very happy about this.
Nolan, thank you so much. Thank you again for opening your heart, opening, really your soul to all of our um, readers and watchers, and to our clients, and to ADAP. We are really so fortunate to have you as our guest, Nolan, and I can't wait to see you both, my husband and I, when it's much safer. And I really look forward to that. And dinner, lunch, breakfast, all on us.
Cool, cool. Thank you very much. And again, I appreciate it very much. It's a beautiful
Thank you.
day, and I feel beautiful.
Nolan, you are. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.